and welcome to the show. Now, we're going to start today by giving you a little bit of context behind this video. You see, in the early days of Forza, in fact up until the recent update, if you wanted to upgrade a car like this Holden, for example, you would have to spend a lot of time driving it around a circuit to level it up. Thankfully, that is now gone, but most of us didn't have infinite amount of time to do that, so what we would do is turn on all the assists. Forza actually has a very, very good selection of assists, which is fantastic for accessibility. It does mean, though, if you whack them all on, you can get a car that will auto-drive its way around the circuit. The thing is, it's not really supposed to be used in that manner, and the auto-driving, while it will lap, is a bit derpy, shall we say. And it got the affectionate name, the auto-driving AI, as Derek. You see, in Gran Turismo 4, you had B-Spec mode, and the driver for that was often ended up called B-Spec Bob. But the thing is, the AI, when you were doing this, the auto-driving wasn't very clever, so it couldn't be B-Spec, it ended up being D-Spec Derek. And the thing is, it doesn't drive just like a normal AI car. No, it doesn't get out of the way of people, but you shall see that in a minute. What we would go and attempt to do is a simple challenge. We would run in a selection of very, very fast race cars, high-end prototypes, LMP cars, and all of that sort of stuff. Give ourselves a head start, or some better than others, as Bentley go for a spin immediately. But yeah, we would have a head start, a 20 or 30 second head start, to try and run away. And then Derek would be released in the Aston Martin, in that Valkyrie Pro, to try and chase us down. The challenge would be survive. Stay far enough ahead that Derek couldn't catch you. But of course, if you were just doing this as sort of 1v1, that would be, I say, easy enough. It's never easy, but that would be one thing. But of course, we've got a bunch of incredibly fast cars trying to get around here, all jostling for position, which, as you could expect, was madness. For this first round, it was a 30-second head start, and it would be the fastest cars at the back, and unfortunately, things would go a little bit. So reverse PI grid, things would go a little bit wrong. The Neo just got understeer at the wrong moment, ended up out wide. I was driving the Audi R18 in this one. I had nowhere to go. The Toyota had nowhere to go. You clip the tyre bundle and you're going to be in a little spot of bother. In fact, the Bentley has a very buckled wing. I've not actually noticed that before in cars on Forza, but yeah. So while all of that mayhem was going on for us further back, it was busy, to say the least. I mean, it's exciting racing. We have, classic Le Mans cars. This Porsche was phenomenally fast down a straight. In fact, we've seen it go before be ridiculously quick. In the battle that involved the normal Valkyrie, this Porsche was one of the very few cars that could actually outrun a Valkyrie in a straight line. So yeah, the Porsche was putting up a good fight. The thing is, you didn't want to get caught in traffic around here. You couldn't afford to waste any time stuck in traffic, so you had to pass cars as quick as you could, but you were going to lose time as it went on. Of course, Derek would be released. The AMR, the Valkyrie Pro, is ridiculous. It is insane in terms of a vehicle. It has so much speed and so much grip, but of course, well, it was being driven by the auto drive essentially, and the auto drive does not care where you may be on the track. It only cares about going around essentially. Meanwhile, battles they were occurring on circuits. The Pagani, while a very, very fast car, maybe not quite as quick as some of the other ones here. Mistakes for the little Toyota. I say little, big Toyota actually. Ends itself up across the gravel, across the grass through there. The Wara trying to hold on. As I said, a lot of it is just you're trying to go as quick as you possibly can while other cars are around you, and you try not to slow each other down, aware of the danger that is about to be coming towards you. The Wara was one of the slower vehicles, one of the lower PI vehicles that would gradually find itself falling down through the order a little bit. But actually held on quite. It was impressively fast for what it is against some of this various opposition. Of course, it wouldn't be long. It wouldn't be long before the terrifying thing, the terrifying entity that is Derek, would arrive on the scene and start catching and chasing down cars. The first would be fairly easily deposited.
Derek is about to kill people!
Oh, I got hit by the wreck.
Yep, you did.
It could have been worse. It could have been worse for the first few cars because they didn't lose too much time. But, this is Derek we're talking about. It wouldn't last.
I would watch out, Longboat.
He's about 15, 17
Oh well,
seconds behind
Eric
you, Jacob.
decided
Oh.
that Longbow should die. Oh no!
Benjamin, Derek.
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, God, no! Oh! You're dead.
Derek!
We did inform you that Derek has no mercy.
Oh yeah, Derek.
Derek absolutely has no mercy at all when he wants to. So while Derek was busy depositing various cars out of the race, up ahead, I mean this was going on. This is a big battle for the lead actually. We had Ginettas and Peugeots and one of the Auricas, I think it is, fighting down here. So the Ginetta very, very quick in the corner. I think the Ginetta the highest PI car here in this lot. Very, very quick in the corners. Lacks a little bit of top end compared to some of the other cars, especially compared to the two Porsches. They were very, very fast down these straights. But yeah, the Ginetta had a huge amount of grip. The Porsches were busy fighting side by side. The Peugeot was also pretty rapid around this one as the Porsches would change position. I mean, this was important. You needed and you wanted to be getting as far away from all of the chaos as you could. As I said at the start, it was about trying to go as quick as you can while dealing with the traffic and while dealing with the inevitability. The Nissan was up behind a Cadillac. Nissan gets past with relative ease, relative calm. The Cadillac gets a bump. It's not the biggest bump we've ever seen in one of these, but Cadillac just gets a little nudge out of the way. Actually, does end up losing a bunch of time. The Bentley would be next, and the Bentley would be deposited off the circuit. Don't think it actually made even the slightest bit of difference to Derek in that one as he head towards the next cars.
Oh, Derek!
You sound like you enjoyed that, Liam.
Derek continued to dispatch cars as things went on. The Ginetta continued its fight actually with the Peugeot. I mean, outside of the impending doom, impending danger, it was actually, an exciting prototype race, if you will, up at the front. The Porsches, the 9, where is it? I can never remember. 962 or 956, whichever one it is, leading the way. had this one ahead of the Peugeot. The Ginetta's actual ultimate top speed wasn't terrible. But it didn't quite accelerate as quick as the likes of the Peugeot. There came the second of the Porsches, absolutely sends it across the curbs, across the grass there to go and move itself up into third place, with the Peugeot outbraking itself and ending up in a wall. Not ideal for that one. Would get it spun and get going again. The two Porsches would actually cross the line first and second in this one. They would survive. They would beat Derek. The Ginetta came home in third, and yeah. It was a pretty mad one. That was the point that the replay would cut out. Derek was on the charge still, was not going to be able to catch the leaders in this one. They had too bigger a lead as another car was dispatched out of the way. I hadn't actually had a terrible race in this particular one. I was able to keep myself ahead of Derek. I would pass the stricken Peugeot that was gradually pulling itself out of the wall, and try as the Aston Martin might, it couldn't beat the Peugeot. So a bunch of us had survived the first race, which meant the time our head start was going to come down. We were going to have a 20-second head start in this one. Sorry, it was a 30-second head start in this one. It was a 40-second, I believe, in the first one. Either way, we had a head start. We were getting going. A few of us changed cars. A few of us were not quite enjoying the vehicles that we had driven, which is fair enough. I stuck with the Audi. I'm not good with prototypes like these. Never have been. Very, very unfamiliar with these, and I'm not exactly the best when it comes to Nurburgring. Unfortunately, it'd be a bit of a pile-up going through the first section. Different corner this time around, with the Jag ending up in trouble. So I think it was Jag and Nissan ended up in trouble in that one. So yeah, I'm no expert in these kind of conditions. This is well outside what I'm normally good at in this game. I went with the Audi simply for safety. It's all-wheel drive. It's relatively straightforward to drive. I figured it would give me as good of a chance as possible. The Ginetta finding its way past me. And I mean, it's hectic at this point. You're trying to push, but you can't afford to make a little mistake because, dip a wheel on the grass and it can be a huge accident. We were past Sauber at this point as we were going to battle with the Porsche that got itself on the grass and had to lift. we all barrel down towards the next corner. Very difficult. A lot of cars having trouble around this turn. I almost end up following Ninetales wide. Liam had gone for a big adventure in that Pagani coming back on the circuit just about. I'm battling with a Toyota down here. And again, this is seriously high speeds through here. It's incredibly easy to make little mistakes, incredibly easy to get in trouble with these vehicles, and it's frantic racing as we're all stacked up. Currently we're all stacked up a little bit behind the Wara. The Ginetta not able to find a way past. That one was being driven by Ninetales. The Toyota there had a bit of a wander. In the background there's a bunch of cars struggling for grip. We're all desperately trying to maximise our speed, our lap time to try and get away from the trouble. Ninetales spotted a gap and passed the Pagani, and I was all too keen to follow at that point. And the Audi, maybe not quite as good in the corners as the Ginetta, but it certainly wasn't too bad, and it had the traction. I could get away with booting it out of the corners, you know. Keep my car in a straight line and all of that. Derek was once more released. Derek was on the march, and this time he did not have as much. We didn't have as big a head start. There wasn't as much of a gap for Derek to have to try and close down. For some of us, it'd been a bit of a scruffy start. For others, it hadn't been so bad. But yeah, the Valkyrie is just insane. It's such a ridiculously fast car. We knew we were going to all be in a bit more trouble this time around. The battle back further up. The Bentley had not spun immediately off the start line this time around, which was progress. We had a wonderfully interesting battle here. Bentley, Porsche, Mazda, Peugeot, all fighting. Stevie realising they didn't quite have the pace at that moment in time, and we did have a few. I was doing it as well in the right scenarios. Some people were just getting out of the way of faster cars. If a quicker car got behind you, even if like PI wise maybe it wasn't supposed to be quicker, some people are just much better with this sort of car, this sort of track. Certainly for me, if a quicker car got behind me, I'd just let it go. I was more focused on, as I said, maximising my lap time rather than actual track position at various points. The Mazda and Peugeot with good quarter speed, but that Porsche was so fast. Porsche was an absolute monster. When it could get going, when it could put its power down, it absolutely flew. It's a really brave move from Blakey and the Peugeot to sneak past that 787B. It's a hell of a pass. That's a difficult spot to be overtaking in. So yeah, good overtake. Derek was catching the trail end of the pack. The Toyota, having got in trouble at one point, would get past cleanly. It was a rare moment of niceness from Derek. It was a legitimate, clean overtake. It wasn't necessarily going to last long, as I think there was a bump on the Toyota. I don't know whether Speedy's got the Toyota out of the way or whether there was a bump. Can't quite tell from that camera angle. Then there's a big gaggle of cars coming up next for Derek to deal with on this one, because he's never quite as confident in the corners as a player might be, for example, but there is a lot of speed, and off goes the Nissan, bounced off the wall and around in a circle. It's past the other Nissan cleanly. The Porsche's fired headlong into that wall. That's so far 2 out of 2 times the car has ended up at that hairpin tyre bundle from Derek assistance, shall we say. There is something with the Pagani. Pagani went very, very wide in the background. One of the Nissans has actually had a spin on its own, and that was something we saw, and Derek made it worse. If you make a mistake on your own, it's very easy to do with these cars. The Sauber gets bounced around, the Toyota gets fired into the back of the Jag, and both of them are gone. The Jag worse off than the Toyota in that one. Derek was very much on a murder spree and was not going to be taking any prisoners. Unfortunately, that would include me in this one. We knew we were in trouble. As I could see the impending Aston Martin. The Bentley, that would go first though.
Derek is here! Run away!
Oh, you're gonna die, Alex.
I'm about to get Derek. I have been Derek. I'm in a wall. Look out, Stevie! Oh, fuck. I'm in a really bad place. I got Derek very hard into the wall.
Hi. Oh, gee, reverse.
Derek might do it, you know.
Yeah, it didn't go well. It didn't go well for me. I'd lost a bit too much time at the start, and it's just not been good enough, really. for the Audi. Back up towards the front, and it was Porsche chasing down Peugeot. The Peugeot, as I said, better in the corners. This Porsche is just so stupendously quick down the straights, and it would, sure enough, if it's close enough, it can just do that. It can just breeze past things. It can breeze past things down the straights, and then it can hold stuff up in the corners. You can see everything's bouncing around. Nurburgring very bumpy for these vehicles, but the Porsche would be far enough away that even with a little bit of a slide, a little bit out of place through the final corner, the Porsche would take a victory in this one ahead of the Peugeot. They had a pretty good battle in all of that, and I mean Derek was catching up to that group. So it was Porsche from Peugeot, then it was the 787B being followed by the Ginetta. Now the Valkyrie is an astonishingly fast car. Top speed is not its strong suit. In fact, a number of the cars here are quicker than the Valkyrie Pro in a straight line. The Ginetta was not particularly one of them, though. It was going to come down to a question of could Derek find a way past the Ginetta in the closing corners, and as Ninetales tried to get the power down, the Ginetta moves about. Ninetales tries a different tactic and it doesn't work, although Derek's very, very wide, brushes the wall and clips the tyre bundle, goes for a spin, however, does manage to gather it all back up before the Ginetta can get going. So 3 cars would make it this time. The Ginetta, home in 4th, did not survive the Derek. Now, when we set this up at next run, Derek started on pole, as we did a slightly different thing with the grid, with sort of descending in PI order, and that gave some problems trying to get Derek to work.
It's quite funny.
Yeah, this can be in the video.
No, I meant not the track, man.
It's like
Just
drove into the wall.
what are you doing that way?
Where's he going?
I don't
Alex,
know,
you should
I'm
make
curious,
Alex, you should make it out like you would have to Derek.
Okay, Derek just likes that. Okay, that track is that way. Right, I'm gonna try this again.
Oh, dear.
Right, just do a
When
turn.
is Derek going to crash into a
What are you doing, man? What are you doing?
Honestly, I don't know who is driving the Derek car. He's not a very good driver.
Right, there you go.
This is the thing that's hunting us down.
I'm less scared of Derek now, all of a sudden.
Handbrake.
I am more scared of him.
So after highly entertaining attempts at getting the auto drive car to go to the back of the grid, we were all released. Now this time around, the grid was sorted in PI order, so the fastest cars would go at the front. One of the big problems we had, traffic was playing a big role, if you will, and often fast cars getting ensnared in accidents. So we thought we'd go for a slightly different variety, see what would happen, what would change. For this time, we were sticking with the 30-second head start, but of course we were on the full layout, so the track was a little bit longer. Now the Toyota would lead the way. I, had pretty high PI with the Audi. Unfortunately, the advantage for me would almost immediately come undone with my terrible driving. Once I found myself out a little bit wide, I got slightly ensnared on the gravel trap, not by a huge amount, but just a little bit, enough to let a few cars past, and then we were sort of in the midst of the of the battles, shall we say. At the front, though, it was shaping up to be quite an interesting one. The Ginetta would lead the way, the Jag following. The Porsche, with its mighty straight line speed and a go, got very sideways across the grass there. The Ginetta coming under fire into the next corner. Sorry, the Toyota was leading at the moment in this one. This was the battle for sort of second place as we headed back onto the sort of the proper full Nordschleife circuit here. The Jaguar wanting to have a little bit of a look, but of course it's very difficult to pass at this track, as it is, as has been said, it's fast, it's very narrow, and in cars like this where the braking zones are tiny, the speeds are ridiculous, change of direction for the cars is ridiculous. Yeah, you had to really pick and choose your moment for overtakes, and sure enough, the Jag picked it. Well, we made it a little bit easy, but sometimes that's what you have to do. The Ginetta just, I think it hit a curb a bit too hard, ran a little bit wide, and that's the sort of invitation you have got to go and make the most of when it presents itself. As Yeah, it's the easiest way you're going to find to pass somebody around a track like this, as the Toyota was next in the sights of the Jag. Now we head up towards one of the longer straights. It would be a good overtaking opportunity. Unfortunately, the shadow in the Toyota got a little bit wide on the grass, got sideways. Ninetales Ginetta makes the most. I'm presuming Pega had to have a lift somewhere down there, because the Ginetta comes flying past as we head towards the twisty stuff, and both of the two leaders get stopped into the next corner. So once again, the race at the front, well, it was as exciting as you would expect a race of incredibly fast prototype cars to be. Well, varying degrees of prototypes anyway, around this circuit. And you could see, I mean, the Ginetta was a monster in the corners when things were going well. Derek was released once more, and of course, I say perfectly happy to negotiate it around the circuit. Yeah, 30 seconds, this was always going to be a tough one. For a lot of us, certainly for a lot of us that weren't quite as good with these cars or this circuit, this was definitely going to be a difficult one, but it was a slightly cleaner start, I think, for everybody, with the grid in sort of fastest cars at the front. We certainly had a cleaner start. I made a couple of silly errors. That was more on me with the Audi. I found myself a little bit further back in the field than I would have liked to. This Toyota was a ridiculous car, actually. It has just insane levels of grip through the corners. I'm presuming an absolutely ridiculous amount of downforce on the vehicle. The downside is it has absolutely no top speed, has no straight line speed at all. So it can get to the inside of the Aston Martin here, but the Aston has the acceleration to fight back into the next corner. So the Toyota on a clear track would probably be very fast in places, but it often gets a little bit stuck. Fortunately for the Toyota, Aston Martin wheel on the curb, got it sideways and around it went, not taking any of us with it. You can see how fast my Audi catches, actually. It's ridiculously how quick. The R18 is not the fastest thing in a straight line here by any stretch of the imagination either, but I have significantly more straight line speed than the Toyota. I waited for my opportunity. There was a gap on the exit. I can use my acceleration, my traction, and I can fire my car past. Derek has once more, as you would imagine, caught up to the tail end of the field. First dispatching a Toyota, although almost gets caught by the Toyota as it spins around. And this is what did help us. It could help us. If Derek murders a car but gets slowed down in the crash as well, that buys us a little bit more time. It's not much, but every little helps, really. It would be the Pagani that would be the next to feel the wrath of Derek, and it was a much more simple takeout. The Aston Martin spinning around to recover itself it didn't get clipped in all of that, so I guess that is something. But yeah, Derek was very much in the traffic now, and the Nissan would be next to feel the wrath, get pushed around. One of the Porsches had a poor start. These things were quick, but yeah, if you didn't make a great start, you could be in trouble, and the Porsche would have its own accident made 10 times worse by the appearance of a Valkyrie Pro. It was a big spin. It was a big crash. But the Porsche would get going again and continue as the rest of the pack would catch up. Derek would have another mission.
Stevie.
Derek.
Ow.
Oh!
Oh, Stevie.
Never mind.
Derek has scared Stevie into a tyre bundle.
And it was 3 for 3 for cars ending up in a tyre battle. This time around, not completely Derek's fault. That time around, more to do with Stevie missing a braking point, but it happens, and Derek's murder spree would continue, managing to do a pretty good snooker shot, actually, with the Nissan. Although, surprisingly, everyone came out of that one okay for a minute. The Nissan got flung into the Toyota, but they did carry on while Derek was continuing his antics. Up at the front, it was Jaguar versus Ginetta. In fact, this was a race-long battle. The Jag had the acceleration out of the corners. The Ginetta had the mid-corner speed. So every so often, the Jag would pull away. Then the Ginetta would reel it back in, but the Ginetta would get stuck trying to find a way past through these twists and turns. It was a proper full-on battle between two very, very quick, quite different cars. Quite a big difference in age between the pair, and they got their lap speed in very different ways, but they were well out in front, and hopefully not costing each other a huge amount of time. No one else really had an answer for for these at the moment. They were gone. I mean, it's always impressive to watch them at sort of full chat through this circuit. The Valkyrie was continuing to hunt. It was continuing to make its way through the pack, and unfortunately for me, it would be the same corner again that would get me in trouble. This time around, I managed to get it under control. I was right behind the Porsche that got a huge hit and a massive amount of airtime, but stayed ahead. Derek had fired Danger Man's Porsche off the circuit, but it came back on and continued to try and kill said Porsche. Bouncing around, Derek got slowed down a bit. I wanted to try and make the most of an opportunity, couldn't do it, and in the end, the Aston Martin finally saw fit to deposit the Porsche off of the circuit, forcing it wide. It was a bit of a scruffy way to pass, and Danger Man may have been the one who had best defended, and I say defended in very loose terms, from Derek in all of this. Back at the front, and the Ginetta and Jag were continuing to fight the Ginetta using the slipstream. I think the Ginetta's actual top speed might not be too bad, because it was holding. I expected the Jag to just blast off down the straight, but it was holding its own when it got to absolute top speed against the Jag. Some slipstreaming, of course, involved and whatnot is going to come down to who would be bravest through here. The Jag gets a bit of a bounce on the curbs, but it would be the Jaguar that would come out on top. The Ginetta running a little bit deep, and then a big slide on the exit would be all it would take. The Jaguar would cross the line and take a victory ahead of the Ginetta. A fantastic battle up at the front in a very silly race. Well, the rest of the race was very silly. Their battle was genuinely brilliant. Derek was in, well, the effective 5th place now, trying to chase down as many cars as they could before the line. It wasn't long to go. It would be the Peugeot that was sat in 3rd, with the 787B holding on to 4th. The Porsche would catch the Aston a little bit down the straight, but would run out of time to do anything about it. It now came down to, could the Aston Martin find a way past the 787B? And sure enough, it just has so much traction. The Mazda, that was powerless. That was powerless to stop it. The Peugeot would cross the line in 3rd and would beat Derek. However, it would be the last remaining car. So yeah, 3 cars would survive around the full circuit. And I did feel like it would be a little bit remiss not to include this. While all of this lot were technically eliminated from the race, they were all out, they were all well behind Derek. Liam did manage to have one hell of an accident, carrying too much speed, getting sideways, gets a twitch, then a bump from a Porsche and flung into the railings. That's a big crash. That is a very, very big crash for a Liam. Unfortunately, that'd be the end of the replay. Yeah, this is a very, very silly little game mode that that we came up with, but it was a lot of fun. It was a lot of fun. You would be right. You could just put a normal AI in the Valkyrie and do it as a challenge that way. But it was a lot more fun having the auto drive AI try and do it, because they just don't give a crap. They do not react in the slightest to player cars. They will just drive through you. And Derek is so fast, that Aston Martin is so quick that it will just obliterate everything. Yeah. This is a lot of fun. I'm not great with these cars. I'm not particularly strong at Nurburgring, anything like that. But I had an awful lot of fun. In this one, there were some brilliant moments. And yeah, that Aston Martin is genuinely terrifying when it is behind you and Derek is in control of it. But there we go. That is going to be it for this video. Thank you all very much for watching. And until next time, goodbye.